Now, a new franchise has been born, the Pacific Astros, and of course, like always, when a new franchise is born, they don't have any players. But today, things are going to be a little bit different. Instead of me just spinning a wheel and then adding players accordingly, it's going to be a race for the Stanley Cup. And who exactly am I going to be racing against? AI. I'm going to be putting my NHL team building knowledge to the test against artificial intelligence. So without further ado, let's figure out who's going to be joining the team. So it's going to be Stick on the Ice versus Google Gemini. I'm racing them to see who can win a Stanley Cup first. Now we're both going to draft 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, 2 goaltenders, and 5 extra players. Now the reason I added 5 extra players is in the event that once we both complete our teams, we don't win a Stanley Cup, we'll need to add some more players to the team. So we're going to alternate picks with Google Gemini, and I'm going to be a nice guy and I'm going to give them the first overall pick. Now with the first overall pick, I'm fully expecting them to take Connor McDavid, and that's exactly who they're going to be taking. So Connor McDavid, welcome to the Brooklyn Bots, because that's what the AI's team name is going to be. And then when it comes to our Pacific Astros, it's going to be a pretty easy selection. Nathan MacKinnon, welcome to the team. Now Brooklyn, you're lucky that I'm giving you the first overall pick, because normally I would just bring Connor McDavid to my team. I'd be taking him first overall, but I'm so confident I have more puck knowledge than you. I'll give you Connor McDavid first overall. So with the second overall pick, Nathan MacKinnon, you're going to join our team. However, we do have to remember you're surrounded with 0 overall players right now, so I'm not expecting you to do too much. Now, Nathan MacKinnon, as great as a player you are, you're surrounded with 0 overalls, so I'm not really expecting you to do too much. However, I can't just manage my Pacific Astros. I actually have to manage the Brooklyn Bots as well. Now, you might be asking, isn't that a little bit unfair that you can manage this team right here constructed by AI? The only reason I have to manage this team is because I did a test run of this and the bots were cheating. I caught this team cheating multiple times. What this team does is they go out and sign NHL free agents and bring them to the team. So when I only have 1 player, they actually have 3 players. They'll have Connor McDavid, they'll have Robbie Fabry, and they'll have 1 other player on the team. They'll bring in a bunch of NHL free agents to replace these 0 overalls, and they end up skewing the results quite a bit. When we match up against them, they have 3 NHL players to our 1, and I'm just not going to let that slide. Now I think it's pretty obvious. In the first handful of simulations, we're not going to be winning any games, and neither are the bots. So what I'm going to do is, instead of simulating the entire year, I'm just going to simulate up to our first matchup against the Brooklyn Bots. We'll simulate that matchup and we'll see who comes out on top, and then we won't worry about the rest of the season after that. But while I simulate up to this game right here, if you were on Team Stick on the Ice, which is basically Team Human Being, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. But if you're on Team Artificial Intelligence, first of all, you're the ops. You are the ops. You're joining our opposition, and I just won't let that slide. So just don't do that. Subscribe to the channel, join Team Stick on the Ice in our quest to take down artificial intelligence. So it's time for us to jump to our first matchup. The Astros taking on the Bots. Who is going to be coming out on top in this matchup? But we're flying early on. We picked up the first 4 goals of the game. Nathan MacKinnon is single-handedly dominating this team, and they're not going to make the comeback. An 8-2 victory against the Bots. This is a statement. We just made a statement against this team. We're not scared of them at all. Like, that was an absolute masterclass from Nathan MacKinnon. 5 goals, 1 assist for 6 points, and he only played 14 minutes. AI, you better watch out, because I'm not going to go easy on you. Now, it was a dominant first performance. We smoked the Brooklyn Bots. They couldn't even counter us. So I'm going to let them know I'm taking Nathan MacKinnon. And then with the 3rd overall pick, they're going to select Austin Matthews. Now, them taking Austin Matthews is definitely a surprise. So with my next selection, I'm actually going to go back to the Colorado Avalanche, and I'm going to select Cale Makar. Now, I am going to pray that with their next pick, they're going to take another forward, or maybe even a goaltender. And best case Ontario, we have a team consisting of Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, and Quinn Hughes. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. We still have to bring Cale Makar to the team. So we're heading back to the Colorado Avalanche to bring Cale Makar to the team, and we're just going to pray that AI doesn't go with Quinn Hughes. If for some reason they decide to pass up on Quinn Hughes, then we're going to have the best defense in the game, and I don't think AI will ever be able to match our defense. Now, because we only have 1 forward and 1 defenseman, we're going to have Cale Makar play some forward minutes for us this season. He's going to be playing on the right wing alongside Nathan MacKinnon. I think that's perfectly fine. It's not really going to hurt us too much. Meanwhile, when it comes to the Brooklyn Bots, Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid are going to be manning that first line together, but I'm still not too sure if they're going to be able to match us in our first matchup against them. Well, I guess it's technically not our first matchup. It's going to be our first matchup of the season, but you get the point. I still think we're going to be able to beat them. Now, so far, neither team has won a game this season, and it's time for us to jump into this one. Alright, that's a little suspect. Right before we were about to dominate those Brooklyn Bots, the game just happens to be crashing. I think Google Gemini is working alongside NHL 26, making the game crash so we can't simulate that matchup. I don't know about that one. That one's a little bit suspect. So NHL 26 just happens to crash before our next matchup. I don't know. I think it's a bit suspect, and I think you think it's a bit suspect as well. So I'm going to let Google Gemini know I'm going with Cale Makar. Now, the real question is, are they going to respond with Quinn Hughes? And it looks like they are. I kind of expected that. I'm not overly surprised they're going with Quinn Hughes. Now, when it comes to our next selection, do I go with another defenseman here? Do I go with a forward? I think it makes a bit more sense to go with a forward. And who's that forward going to be? Well, we're bringing Leon Draisaitl to the team. So as expected, the Brooklyn Bots going to go with Quinn Hughes. I don't think that's really surprising people too much, but it's time for us to bolster our offense a little bit more. Leon Draisaitl, Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, we're building a super team as we speak. But then again, we shouldn't really sleep on that Bots team because it's really not that bad. Now I want both of these teams to load up their first line. Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, and Leon Draisaitl. And then when it comes to the Bots, it's Quinn Hughes, Connor McDavid, and Austin Matthews. Hopefully we can actually see these two teams match up against each other and the game just doesn't happen to freeze on us, because we all know that was a little bit suspect. So we've made it to our game against the Bots, but is it going to freeze or is it going to crash on us? I don't know, something about this just doesn't sit right with me. The game just happening to crash all the time now, especially when we get to our game where these two teams are supposed to match up. The game is working perfectly fine before this game, but the second we get to this one, I think Google Gemini just made a call. So Google Gemini is just not allowing us to head into our next matchup. They don't want to go against our team because they know what the result will be. So I'm going to let them know I'm going with Leon Draisaitl. They're going to respond with going with Nikita Kucherov. So when it comes to my fourth selection, who do I want to go with here? I could surprise them and go with a goaltender, but I don't think going with a goaltender is the right pick here. I think bringing in a little bit more offense might be the answer. So Kirill Marchenko, you could potentially be the guy we go with. Now I've actually changed my mind. We're not going to go with Kirill Marchenko. Instead, we're going to go with one of the best defensive centers in the league. Barkov, welcome to the Pacific Astros. We're going to have a first line of Barkov, Nathan MacKinnon, and Leon Draisaitl. And then when it comes to the defense, we're going to have Cale Makar leading that. Now don't get me wrong, Nikita Kucherov was definitely a great selection, but having Barkov still on the board, I think that's a little bit surprising heading into the fourth round. Now I'm curious to see how scared the Bots are going to be of our team this season. Is the game going to crash again, or are they going to change things up and have the game freeze on us? At this point, you never know what's going to happen. So we've made it to November 2nd, a historic day, a historic game where these two teams match up, and we're actually going to get to see the matchup this time. The Astros taking on the Bots, and the Astros are flying. 5 goals in the first period. We have 8 goals through 2 periods. I was thinking we were going to be looking at a 10-goal game, but it doesn't look like it. The Bots would pick up another 2 in the third, but an 8-5 victory for our team. We're 2-0 so far against the Bots. Nah, they better figure something out pretty quick, or we might be sweeping this team when we see them in the playoffs, if they make the playoffs. Now, I just have a feeling that AI is going to be going with another defenseman here, and is that the case? I guess not. They're going to be selecting Andrei Vasilevskiy. I don't think Vasilevsky's the highest rated goaltender. I believe he's only a 93 overall. They're leaving 94 overall Connor Hellebuyck on the board. I think we should go with Connor Hellebuyck here, and the only reason I'm saying that is because when we take them on in our one matchup, if we don't have a goaltender, we don't stand a chance at winning that game. Now, you know what? I think we have to play a little bit risky here. What are the odds that the Bots go with back-to-back goaltenders? Like, I don't think that they're going to be selecting Vasilevskiy and then with their next pick selecting Connor Hellebuyck. So I think we're going to take a couple regular season losses here. In our next matchup, we're going to end up losing to the Bots because we're not going to have a goaltender, but we will have David Pastrnak on the team. Now, David Pastrnak, I'm not really too sure if you're a great decision right now. I guess only time will tell. So our offense heading into this season is definitely going to be better than the Bots. However, they are going to have better goaltending than us. So I guess this is really just an offense versus goaltending matchup. Whichever steps up more, I guess is going to be winning the game. So once again, it's the matchup we've all been waiting for. The Astros taking on the Bots. Is Vasilevskiy going to allow the Bots to win this game? I guess we're about to find out. Well, they're going to be picking up 3 unanswered goals. But in the second period, we would find a way to pick up a couple goals. And they have Eric Cartman playing against us. Hold on now. We actually might have a chance at winning this game. The Bots aren't taking us seriously. They're starting Eric Cartman against us, so there is a possibility we make the comeback in the third period, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case. The Bots are going to be picking up 3 more goals, and it looks like they're going to be taking us down 8-5. But I'm going to keep it a stack. That's a little bit disrespectful right there. Not even playing Vasilevskiy against us. they're not taking us seriously. Now, Google Gemini, I'm going to let you know, you're not taking me seriously. David Pastrnak's the guy I'm going with. Who are you going to respond with? Are you going with a forward? Are you going with a defenseman? It looks like you're going to go with a defenseman in Victor Hedman. That's a pretty solid selection right there, but I think I have to keep on loading up my offense, so don't be surprised if we're going with another forward here. Now, those superstar defensemen are hard to come by. You know what else is hard to come by? Superstar forwards. And I think we need to continue to just completely load up our offense, because I think when the playoffs inevitably come around, we're going to need an elite offense in order to beat this bots team. So Jack Eichel, we're going to be selecting you next, but maybe not. I'm actually going to pass up on Jack Eichel. Instead, I have to go with one of the greatest of all time, Sidney Crosby. Welcome to the team. And Jack Eichel, if you're available next round, we might be picking you up. Now, the forward core that we're slowly establishing right now is looking incredible. Like, the bots definitely can't compete with it. However, they do have a better defense than us right now, and they do have better goaltending. So that's one thing that we're certainly going to have to address pretty quick. Now, for the first time ever, heading into our first matchup, one team has actually won a game, being the Bots. The Bots have been able to win one game this season, but that's only because they have Andrei Vasilevskiy. They actually have a goaltender, which we don't have right now. But moving into our first matchup, I guess that doesn't really mean too much, because each team is going to be starting Eric Hartman, but it looks like the Bots are going to be coming out firing. They're picking up 4 goals in the first period, but don't worry, we're responding in the second. Nathan MacKinnon himself is going to be picking up a hat trick. Sidney Crosby's picking up a goal as well, so we have a 1-goal lead entering the third, but Vasilevskiy's in the game now. Eric Hartman's been pulled, so Vasilevskiy's in the game, but is he going to be enough to stop this team? It doesn't look like it. 3 more goals on Vasilevskiy, a 9-5 win for us. The Astros are dominating the Bots right now, and I don't know how they're going to be able to respond. So with another victory over the Bots, we're moving into our next selection. Now, who are the Bots going with? Are they finally going to bring another forward to the team? It looks like it. Kirill Kaprizov's going to be joining the Bots, and you know what? They desperately needed him. They're lacking a lot of offensive firepower, and he's going to bring that to the team. Now, when it comes to my next selection, I think it's about time we bring in a defenseman, and I think that defenseman is going to be Zach Werenski. You know what? I've actually changed my mind. Zach Werenski, you're actually not going to be the guy we're bringing to the team, because I want to complete our top 6 before I bring in another defenseman. Now, who are we going to add to our top 6? We're going to head over to the Dallas Stars, and Mikko Rantanen is going to be brought in, 94 overall sniper. We already have a handful of playmakers on the team, but I think we should bring in another sniper in Mikko Rantanen. Now, when it comes to our next selection, I will guarantee you we will bring in a goaltender, and if Zach Werenski is still an option, we'll go with him. So our top 6 is complete right now, consisting of Nathan MacKinnon, Leon Draisaitl, Dave Pastrnak, Mikko Rantanen, Barkov, and Sidney Crosby. This is an elite top 6 that we're certainly going to win games with. However, there's still one thing we're lacking: a goaltender and elite defense. So we'll definitely have to address that in the near future. So until then, how about we match up against the Bots one more time? I understand you guys have better defense and better goaltending than us, but you know we have elite offense. However, we're not really seeing that elite offense in the first period. We're being outscored 3-1. Moving into the second, we're still being outscored, this time 4-2. So unfortunately, I do think we're going to be losing this game right here. We allowed 11 goals in this one. So you remember how I was talking about us bringing in a defenseman? I think we actually need a goaltender more than an elite defenseman. Now, after that last matchup, I realized we desperately need a goaltender here, but do I want to select a defenseman or a goaltender? Okay, we need a goaltender. They're going to pick up Igor Shesterkin. So now they have their goaltending tandem. They have Vasilevskiy, they have Igor Shesterkin. We got to stop messing around. We need a goaltender desperately now, but somehow we're still walking away with technically the best goalie in the league, because Connor Hellebuyck is still available. Now, technically, we're going to be bringing in the highest rated goaltender in the league in Connor Hellebuyck. Although he is a 94 overall, and he's definitely going to be our starter moving forward, but I don't really know how much faith I should have in Connor Hellebuyck. I feel like I've had him on a couple of my teams so far in NHL 26 when I've done videos like this, and he's let me down before. However, I don't think he's ever been behind a team this elite. Connor Hellebuyck, we are going to have a super team in front of you, and if you don't win me a Stanley Cup, then you're going to be banned from all future Stick on the Ice videos for the rest of NHL 26. So we finally got ourselves a starting goaltender, 94 overall Connor Hellebuyck, the highest rated goaltender in the league. Did the Bots miss out on potentially the best goaltender? Yes they did, because they went with Vasilevskiy and Shesterkin over my man. I don't really know if that was the right decision. I guess we'll find out. So the Bots are 1-9-1 moving into this matchup. Meanwhile, we're 0-12-1, so we haven't won a game so far, but that's about to change because we're going to take down these stupid Bots. Pasta and Barkov are picking up goals in the first period, while Nikita Kucherov's picking up 1 for the Bots. Moving into the second, what do? We score goals. Another 3 goals picked up in this one. Kucherov would respond with 1 goal, but I don't think that's going to be enough. We're going to dominate this one. Another 3 goals. They would respond with 3 unanswered, but it doesn't matter. An 8-5 victory for the Pacific Astros. If these trends continue, I think we're going to be winning a Stanley Cup before the bots even make the playoffs. Now I'm going to let Gemini know they're sleeping on my man Connor Hellebuyck. We're going with Hellebuyck here. When it comes to the bots, next selection, who are they going to go with? Brad Marchand. Okay, that is an interesting selection. Like, don't get me wrong, Brad Marchand's looking elite right now, and he's a great player. But when you're building the best team possible, full of the best players in the league, I don't really know if I'd be going with Brad Marchand. But you know what? I can't hate that selection. Now, when it comes to our pick, well, we're going to go with the guy I've mentioned a handful of times. Zach Werenski. We could use some help on the defensive end, so you're going to join the team. So it's time for us to bring in the guy that I've been talking about for a long time now. We're heading over to the Columbus Blue Jackets. And Zach Werenski, welcome to the team. You and Cale Makar is our top pairing. You guys are going to do some incredible things together. So Zach Werenski, you're going to be an amazing addition to the team. A 92 overall left defenseman. Pairing you up alongside Cale Makar is going to lead to some incredible results. And I think one of those results is going to be another win against the bots in our first matchup. So it's our yearly matchup against the bots where we absolutely dominate and pick up another victory. Each team is going to be picking up 2 goals in the first period. I just want to point out, we're going against Igor Shesterkin, they're going against Ricky Lafleur, so they definitely have the upper hand here. But that doesn't really mean too much, because although we've allowed 5 goals, we've been able to score 4 goals, so we're definitely competing against the bots. I wouldn't be surprised if they came out on top in this matchup, and it looks like that's going to happen. They're going to be taking us down 7-6, but I just want to point something out. We went against Igor Shesterkin. They went against Ricky Lafleur. In theory, you should win this matchup 100 times out of 100. But in this situation, this game was a lot closer than it probably should have been. Now, we might have lost that last matchup, but you know what? I'm not really going to consider it a loss, because we were really competing up until the 3rd period. They only beat us by 1 goal, and we were going against Igor Shesterkin. Meanwhile, they were going against 0 overall Ricky Lafleur. It wasn't really that fair of a game. But Zach Werenski, welcome to the team. When it comes to the next selection for the bots, who are they going to be going with? Why are you not naming me a player? I want you to pick a player. I like how Google Gemini just completely forgot what we were doing. Is there anything else I can tell you about Zach Werenski, or are you making a pick for a fantasy league or for different context? The fact that Google Gemini has completely forgot what we are doing is giving me a lot of hope. So let's see who they're going to go with their next selection. With the 10th overall pick, they're going to be selecting Roman Josi. I'm not going to lie, I thought the video was cooked for a second. I thought we weren't going to be able to continue, but luckily we will be able to continue, and Roman Josi is going to be selected next by the bots. I know we only have 1 goaltender right now, and we probably could use another defenseman, but I think we should go with a forward. Now, as I just mentioned, I think it's about time we bring another forward to the team, and you know who that forward's going to be? Well, we're going to head over to the Florida Panthers and bring in Matthew Tkachuk. We haven't selected a power forward yet, and I think we're going to need one in the future, so Matthew Tkachuk, welcome to the team. Now, for now, we're going to have Matthew Tkachuk playing some 3rd line minutes alongside Trevor Corey and Corey Trevor. No, I just feel bad for him at this point. Having to play along these 2 guys is going to hold you back way too much. Like, if I've mentioned this once, I've mentioned it a million times. I've met cats and dogs smarter than Corey and Trevor. Now, last time we took on the bots, they were able to take us down, but that's because we had Ricky Lafleur in between the pipes. Now, are we going to run Ricky Lafleur once again here? It looks like it. And he's going to be allowing 3 goals in the first period. Moving into the second, yeah, we're getting a backup goaltender. No more running 0 overalls in between the pipes. We have to fix that moving forward, because an 8-2 victory for the bots is something I never want to see again. We have to fix that. So as we know, Matthew Tkachuk was my last selection, so we're going to let Gemini know that. Now, who are they going to be going with when it comes to their 10th overall pick? Because I believe this is going to be their 10th overall. Elias Pettersson. You are selecting Elias Pettersson. Jack Hughes is still on the board. Jack Eichel is still on the board. You went with Elias Pettersson. Nah, Gemini knows nothing. So it's time for us to bring in our next goaltender. And who is our next goaltender going to be? Well, we're going to head over to the New York Islanders, and we're going to bring in Sorokin. 90 overall Sorokin. I think he's the next best option when it comes to a goaltender. I don't think there's anyone else that's a higher overall than him that's actually available. So yeah, that's who we're going to go with. We'll just keep it simple. Best goalie available. Also, I guess technically Jake Ottinger is an option here, but you know what? We've already brought in a player from the Dallas Stars and Mikko Rantanen, so we're just going to stick with Sorokin. Now, moving forward, we're not going to have any more matchups against the Brooklyn Brooklyn Bots, where we're going to be running a 0 overall. We have Connor Hellebuyck and we have Sorokin, two elite goaltenders that we can definitely work with. So even though we dropped back-to-back matchups against the Bots, I don't think it's about to become 3 in a row, especially with their last selection being Elias Pettersson. Like, out of all players, you went with Elias Pettersson. Not gonna lie, that's a little bit crazy. Now, right now, things are looking pretty solid. We have a 4-9 record. Meanwhile, the Bots, they're 3-8, and they're not ready for this matchup. So let's head into it. Sidney Crosby and Kirill Kaprizov are exchanging goals in the first period. Moving into the second, it's back-to-back goals from the Bots. What are we doing? Are we really about to make this 3 straight losses against the Bots? Now we got to figure things out here. We can't be losing like this all the time. And one thing that's been holding us back in these past couple matchups, we've been allowing way too many goals. So now it's time to beef up our defense. Before we beef up our defense though, we better figure out who Google Gemini is going to be going with, and they're going to be selecting Miro Heiskanen. Now Miro Heiskanen was one of the guys that I was considering selecting, but now that he's off the board, we're just going to go with Rasmus Dahlin. We're still getting an elite defenseman here, but he's definitely not Miro Heiskanen, because he's literally not Miro Heiskanen. He's Rasmus Dahlin. So if Miro Heiskanen is going to be taken away from us, we might as well just head over to the Buffalo Sabres and get the next best option. Rasmus Dahlin, you're a 92 overall as well, so it's not like we're losing out on anything. Miro Heiskanen was a 92 overall, Rasmus Dahlin's a 92 overall. Regardless of who we go with here, we're getting a great player. Now we're building a pretty elite defense right now. Zach Werenski, Cale Makar, and Rasmus Dahlin. But unfortunately, I can't say that we have a better defense than the Bots, because they're rocking something pretty solid right now. Quinn Hughes, Miro Heiskanen, Roman Josi, Victor Hedman. That's a very strong defense right now. So in our next matchup, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they're able to take us down just because of this defense right here. When comparing our offenses though, we definitely cleared this team. Now I need the Pacific Astros to figure it out pretty quick. We can't be losing against this Bots team every time. We need to eventually come back and respond. So let's see what we're going to be able to do in this matchup. Each team is going to be picking up 2 goals in the first period. Moving into the second, 3 unanswered for the Bots. What is going on with our team? Why are we going out bad all of a sudden? No, like we really just don't have an answer for this team. We started out the video incredibly hot, but ever since then, we've ended up losing 4 straight matchups in a row. We just can't allow that to be 5. So we're definitely going to have to go with another defenseman here, regardless of who the Brooklyn Bots select. And I'm just praying here they make another mistake. Maybe they're going to pass up on another elite talent, but I think we kind of got lucky with that Elias Pettersson selection, and I don't think it's going to happen again. So let's see who Google Gemini is going to be going with next. Hopefully they can make a big mistake here, but I don't think I would classify Artemi Panarin as a big mistake. He's definitely an elite offensive talent, and he's going to be joining an incredible offensive core. Meanwhile, when it comes to our team, I've been talking about defense quite a bit, so how about we bring in one of the best defensive defensemen in the game? Our next selection is going to be Jacob Slavin. Now, Jacob Slavin, I think I'm going to be pairing you up with Rasmus Dahlin on the second pairing. We're going to keep Zach Werenski and Cale Makar together, and then Jacob Slavin and Rasmus Dahlin are going to be an elite second pairing. Eventually, we will have to finish out that third pairing and even work a little bit on our bottom 6, but as of right now, I think our team's looking really good. However, we still haven't beaten the Bots in a long time, so hopefully we can figure that out this season. So here's what our top 4 defense is looking like: Slavin and Dahlin and Cale Makar and Zach Werenski. Now when it comes to our offensive core, we're changing things up a little bit. Normally I'm having Matthew Tkachuk play third line minutes for me, but not this season. Tkachuk, Sidney Crosby, and Mikko Rantanen are going to man that third line, and then Barkov, I'm going to have you play some third line minutes for me. I guess we'll see if that's enough for us to beat the Bots this time. I will say though, if we end up losing 5 straight games to the Bots, we're going to be deep in the trenches. So it's going to come down to this game right here, and I do want to point out we currently have a winning record. We have a 7-6 record, the best record we have ever seen at this point. We're taking on the Bots. I need y'all to show up for me. Just beat this Brooklyn Bots team once. We're picking up the first 2 goals of the game. Moving into the second, we're picking up another 4. The offense is finally woken up, and we're even going to shut the Bots out. Nah, you've never seen a team dominate like this before. The Pacific Astros are back, and we're finally ready to win. Well, we might not quite be ready to win yet. Like, there's still a handful of 0 overalls in the team, so we're going to need to add a couple more players. I'm going to let Google Gemini know that I'm going to be going with Jacob Slavin. Let's see who their next selection is going to be. Sebastian Aho with the Carolina Hurricanes. I can't really hate that selection. Sebastian Aho, he's a great player. Do I think there's some better options out there? Absolutely, but I really can't hate a selection like that. And when it comes to our team's next selection, I think we're just going to match them forward for forward. You might be going with Sebastian Aho, but me personally, I'm going to bring Jack Hughes to the team. We're going to bring in another great offensive-minded talent. But you know what? Actually, I changed my mind. Jack Hughes, I'm going to pass up on you because I don't think the Bots are going to be bringing you to the team. I'm going to bank on the Bots not selecting Jack Hughes, and instead, I'm going to go with Kyle Connor because I want another elite sniper on this team. team. Now, Kyle Connor, I haven't really decided exactly where you're going to be playing on our team, but I think you're likely going to be sitting on the third line alongside Barkov. I'm either going to have you play on the third line alongside Barkov, or you're going to be playing on the second line and we'll move Matthew Tkachuk down. I haven't quite decided yet. I think we're going to rock you on the third line this season, just based on the success we saw last season with Matthew Tkachuk in the top six. Now, we're 4 forwards away from completing our offensive core, and we're 2 defensemen away from completing our defensive core. I think what the plan is, we're going to pick up a right winger with our next selection, and then after that, we're going to complete our defense. I want to have our entire defensive core complete before I start working on the fourth line, and then after we add one more forward to the team, I think we're done with our yearly matchups against the bots. Then we're just going to start simulating right to the end of the season, because I think there might be a chance that we can see some wild card action. I know there's still a lot of 0 overalls left on this team, but look at all the elite players we've added so far. Like, you can't tell me with those 0 overalls we're worse than the Nashville Predators. I just wouldn't believe that. So this is going to be our second last in-season matchup against the bots. After next season's matchup, the only time I want to see this team is in the Stanley Cup Final, if they can make it there. In the first period, we're going to pretend this didn't happen. We definitely didn't allow 3 unanswered goals. Actually make that 4 unanswered goals, but we're making the comeback with 3 unanswered of our own. It's a 1-goal game entering the third period. It looks like we're going to make the comeback. Mikko Rantanen's picking up a big goal. Can we somehow win this game in overtime? It doesn't look like it, so we're off to a shootout. And who's going to win in the shootout? David Pastrnak. We scored 4 unanswered and wanted in a shootout. The Brooklyn bots are complete frauds. Google Gemini can't even compete with me when it comes to building a team. We'll completely ignore the 4-game losing streak I went on at one point, because in my eyes, that never even happened. So regardless of what happens here, we're going with another forward. And when it comes to the risk I took earlier, it looks like that's going to work out for us. Google Gemini is going to be selecting Charlie McAvoy, so that means Jack Hughes is still available for selection, and that's who we're going to go with. Jack Hughes is going to round out our top 9. But after we bring him to the team, we definitely have to start focusing on our defense, because now that they have McAvoy, their defense is way better than ours. Mainly because they have 1 less 0 overall. That's the main difference. Now I have no clue how Jack Hughes slipped through the cracks here, but that's who we're going to be selecting next. Jack Hughes, 93 overall playmaker, one of the better options available. Elias Pettersson was selected over this man. No, that's crazy work. So we're about to witness our final in-season matchup against the Brooklyn bots. After this season, we're just going to start simulating till the end of the season, because I think there is a chance that we might start seeing some wildcard action. Like, we have a really good team here. Yes, we don't have a third pairing, and yes, we don't have a fourth line, but every player on this team right now is a superstar in their own right. So I do think there is a possibility it happens. Now, we certainly can't sleep on the Brooklyn bots this season. They have an 8-3 record. They're looking like a dominant force in the NHL. But it doesn't really matter, because we're picking up the first goal against them. Moving into the second, we're picking up the second goal against them. Are they going to make a big third period comeback? It looks like it. Artemi Panarin with 17 seconds left, and Connor McDavid with 46 seconds left. Yeah, I want the bots to win this game. I want the bots to beat us. We do not deserve to win this game right here. Allowing 2 goals in the final minute. Who are we? The St. Louis Blues? And you know what? We actually will simulate the entire year, because the Brooklyn bots are currently 9-3. So there is a possibility this team actually makes the playoffs. And unless they have some crazy collapse, they're likely making the postseason. Now, boys, I wasn't prepared for this. I was not expecting this to be happening this early, but the Brooklyn bots made the playoffs. They have made the playoffs with 5-0 overalls on the team. It is a race to win the Stanley Cup, and right now, we're not even making the playoffs, but the Brooklyn bots are. So I'm very nervous heading into this postseason, because if they win before us, we lose. Plain and simple. Now, I am fairly confident the Brooklyn bots aren't going to be able to beat the New York Rangers, because we have to remember how many 0 overalls are on this team. But they just took down the New York Rangers. Okay, what is going on here? They have 0 overalls on the team. Quite a few 0 overalls. Washington, I need you to do the impossible. Take this team down, and that's what they're going to do. The Washington Capitals are going to save us. Without that victory, Brooklyn might have went on to win the Stanley Cup, and we would have lost the challenge just like that. But thankfully, Washington's going to be stepping up for us, and they're going to be saving us. The Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions. At least it's not Brooklyn. Alright, so we definitely have to smarten up here when it comes to our selections, but as I've mentioned, we're bringing in back-to-back defensemen with our next picks. Google Gemini is going to be going with Mark Stone for their next selection. I can't really hate on that too much. But when it comes to our next selection, I'm kind of liking Josh Morrissey, and I think that's who we're going to go with. Now, right now, Josh Morrissey is the guy I'm kind of sold on here. However, there is another player I want to look at, and he currently plays for the New York Rangers. Adam Fox was your overall. You're a 91 as well. I'm starting to think we should maybe go with Adam Fox here because he's a right defenseman and Josh Morrissey is a left defenseman. There's a lot of higher overall left defensemen in the NHL than right defensemen. So Josh Morrissey, I'm going to pass upon you and we're going to go with Adam Fox. Now we're going to have to be very careful moving forward. Like the Brooklyn Bots were able to make the postseason last season and they made it all the way to the second round. We weren't even close to making the playoffs, so we better turn things around here. We have 5 defensemen this season. Next season we're going to have all 6 team-men, but yeah, we really need to figure it out here. Like the last thing I want to see is the Brooklyn Bots winning a Stanley Cup before us when they have multiple 0 overalls on the team. We just can't let that happen. Now this might be the biggest season of the video right here. 5th in the entire league, a 49-32-1 record. Now where are those Brooklyn Bots? Those absolute frauds. Well, they're not even making the playoffs. 22nd in the entire league. They can't even compete with us right now. We're one of the best teams in the entire league, led by Nathan MacKinnon, Sidney Crosby, David Pastrnak, Leon Draisaitl, Mikko Rantanen. We're ready to make a push in the postseason. Yes, we still have a handful of 0 overalls on the team, but our offense is leading the charge. We have such an elite offense that's making up for a lot of the problems here, but now we have to find a way to win when it matters most. And when does it matter? Right now against the Vancouver Canucks. So it's time for the Pacific Astros to make some noise. We can win a Stanley Cup right here and finish out this video taking down those Brooklyn Bots. Like we could win a Stanley Cup in a season where they don't even make the playoffs. I think that would be the perfect way to close it out. However, in order to do that, we have to win Game 7 first. So we have Game 7 between the Astros and the Vancouver Canucks. Who is going to come out on top? Well, we're picking up the first 2 goals of the game, but they're going to respond with the next 2 goals. So the third period is likely going to decide this game, and when it mattered most, it's a Nathan MacKinnon power play goal, and we're moving on to the second round. That Nathan MacKinnon power play goal might mean a lot more if we're able to win the Stanley Cup. We're moving on to the second round where we're going to take on the Anaheim Ducks. Now the Ducks are going to be a great team because they don't have any 0 overalls on the team, which we have. However, we also have a ton of superstars. It's a best of 3 moving forward where we're going to win game number 5. Now we need to win game 6 and we can move on to the conference finals, but surprise, surprise, we're off to another game 7. So game 7, once again, is Nathan MacKinnon going to step up when it matters? Well, we're going to be exchanging goals in the first period. Moving into the second, it's going to be a scoreless one. Nathan MacKinnon, it's time for you to take over and pick up another power play goal. But I guess it's not going to be Nathan MacKinnon scoring, but instead Leon Draisaitl and Jack Hughes, they're picking up 3 unanswered, and we're moving on to the conference finals, a place the Brooklyn Bots haven't been yet. So the Brooklyn Bots might have been able to make the postseason before us, but you know what? They've never made it to the conference finals before, and that's where we are right now, taking on the Seattle Kraken. And what are we going to do? Well, we're going to allow 10 goals in game number 4. What happened to this team's defense? We have now lost back-to-back games. We're moving into game 6 elimination. We can't go out like this. We can't go out like this against the Seattle Kraken after allowing 10 goals in game number 4. No, we're just not going to do that. Moving into the second period, we're going to exchange goals. We need to win the third period once again, and unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Chandler Stevenson and Brandon Montour picking up goals. Shout out to Chandler Stevenson, one of the biggest stick on the ice legends of all time, because I just learned something about him the other day. Stevenson, you are now up there with Andre Burakovsky and Brandon Carlo. You are a top 5 stick on the ice legend, and there's a very good chance I probably never explained why you just became a top 5 stick on the ice legend, because out of all stick on the ice legends, yours is by far the most obscure. Maybe one day I will explain why he's a top 5 stick on the ice legend, but for now it's going to remain a mystery. The Washington Capitals, Stanley Cup champions. It's time for us to go add another player to the team. Before we do that though, we should take a look at this team's postseason scoring, because they weren't too bad. Draisaitl 23 points, Barkov 22, Kyle Connor 21, Nathan MacKinnon, Matthew Tkachuk, they're both picking up 20. And then when it comes to goaltending, I can't really be mad at Connor Hellebuyck because there's still a lot of 0 overall players in front of him. But now it's time for us to get rid of one of those 0 overall players, and one of those players is going to be a defenseman. So Adam Fox, you helped the team a ton last season, but now it's time for us to bring in one more defenseman. Now, is that defenseman going to be Josh Morrissey? Elias Lindholm, what is going on? You are selecting Elias Lindholm. Yeah, I refuse to lose to Google Gemini. We are not losing to a team that is selecting Elias Lindholm and Elias Pettersson. Keep in mind, Jack Eichel is still available for selection. They took Elias Lindholm and Elias Pettersson over Jack Eichel. That makes no sense. But yeah, let's keep this simple. Josh Morrissey, welcome to the team. No, like I just want to point out, it's not a salary cap thing because this team is already well above the salary cap. They have negative $79 million in cap space right now, but you went with 84 overall Elias Lindholm. You know what? I'm not going to complain. You can take them. So it's time for us to complete our defense with the addition of Josh Morrissey. We now have a better defense than the bots. I believe we have a better offense than the bots. They really can't compete with us. I even think we have better goaltending. There is nothing they have that we don't. So moving forward, this is where our defensive lines are going to look like. Zach Werenski and Cale Makar, Rasmus Dahlin and Josh Morrissey, and then Jacob Slavin and Adam Fox. I don't really want to run two offensive defensemen together, so that's why I'm going to have Josh Morrissey play on the second pairing. I think that just makes a lot more sense for us. Last season, we were able to make it to the conference finals. This season, we're going for the Stanley Cup final. So for the first time, we're going to see both teams make the playoffs. However, one team is significantly better than the other. The Pacific Astros, a 62-16-4 record. Meanwhile, the Brooklyn Bots, a 50-29-3 record. We're better offensively than them. We're better defensively than them. They really can't compete with us right now. David Pastrnak, 96 points. I mean, from top to bottom, the offense is looking amazing. The defense is looking amazing. Connor Hellebuyck's got some amazing numbers. I don't care about what the Bots' numbers are looking like because we're going to smoke them in the postseason if they can even make it to the Stanley Cup final, because I know we certainly will. Then again, I better remember we're taking on the Winnipeg Jets in the first round, and for some reason, this team sees a lot of success. We are down 3-1. Yeah, nothing more to say. We're down 3-1 against Winnipeg. We are eliminated. Meanwhile, when it comes to the Bots, they're down 3-2 in the series. So Ottawa, I need you to win this game. Win game number 6. The Senators are folding on us. I need them to take down the Bots in game 7. They choked a 3-2 series lead. That is just fantastic. So after being the best team in the entire league, we're falling in the first round. Meanwhile, the Bots are moving on to the second round. We do have to remember the Bots are one of the best teams in the entire league, but I think Washington's going to take them down here, beat them in 5 games. They're not doing that. Washington beat this team in 6 games. Do not go to game 7. Okay, I am starting to get slightly concerned here. We are not losing to the Bots. I refuse to lose to the Brooklyn Bots. Washington, you better win this game. They are allowing the first 2 goals of the game. Ain't no way y'all are doing that. It's a 5-1 win for the Brooklyn Bots. Washington's blowing a 3-1 series lead, and the Brooklyn Bots are moving on to the conference finals. I am terrified. Toronto, I never thought I would have to say this, but I need you to win some games in the conference finals. I need you to take down this Brooklyn Bots team in the conference finals. Y'all just completely folded. The Bots are moving on to the Stanley Cup final. Unless Toronto makes the huge comeback here, Winnipeg, it is all up to you. You were a wild card team. I need you to beat the Brooklyn Bots. Stand tall when it matters most. The Winnipeg Jets have a 3-1 series lead. They just need to win one more game. Shout out to the Jets. Honestly, you just got to give a big shout to the Jets here. They are saving the day. The Brooklyn Bots made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, but not only are they going to lose to the Winnipeg Jets, we are also losing to the Winnipeg Jets. I do have to check on one thing though. The Winnipeg Jets were a wild card team. How good were they? 16th in the entire league, a 40-32-10 record. This perfectly explains the Winnipeg Jets just being somewhat incredible in NHL games. It doesn't make any sense. A 40-32-10 record. Like, technically they had a losing record. They won 40 games but lost 42 games. But that doesn't matter. Not only did they find a way to beat us, they found a way to beat the Bots and win the Stanley Cup. They won 29 games in regulation. Like, that's wild. So neither team is going to win a Stanley Cup, so that means a couple more players have to be added to our teams. We don't have to worry about defensemen anymore, so as long as Jack Eichel is available with our next selection, we're going to go with him. So I've completed my defense with Josh Morrissey. I believe the Bots still need to select another defenseman, and who are they going to go with? Well, they're going to go with Brady Tkachuk, so I believe they are still lacking a defenseman here, unless I'm just completely missing somebody. They have Quinn Hughes, Victor Hedman, Roman Josi, Miro Heiskanen, and Charlie McAvoy, so they still are missing one defenseman. Meanwhile, we've officially completed our defensive core, and now it's time for us to bring in Jack Eichel. Okay, before we move on, I just noticed something that's very confusing. So Google Gemini just said, with my goaltending complete and my defense solidified with 6 elite players, I will now focus on adding the final pieces to my forward core. First of all, You don't have 6 defensemen. You have Quinn Hughes, Victor Hedman, Roman Josi, Miro Heiskanen, and Charlie McAvoy. That is 5 defensemen. Also, when taking a look at their forward core, I guess they completely forgot Elias Lindholm was on this team. Because if you go back up to their previous selection, Elias Lindholm's name is right after Mark Stone. If we scroll down a little bit, he is just no longer on the team. They have Brady Tkachuk instead. I have drafted Brady Tkachuk, which completes my core defense. If you say so, buddy. I'm not going to lie to y'all, I actually haven't really been reading what Google Gemini has been talking about. Like, I haven't been reading like 90% of this stuff. I just wait for what the selection is. I don't read the rationale or anything else. So maybe they've been saying nonsense like that the entire video. I couldn't tell you, but I don't care. Brady Tkachuk, you can play defense for them if you want. So I don't know how on earth Jack Eichel is still on the board. Like, we're getting an absolute steal here, a 94 overall playmaker. Do we really need more playmakers here? Probably not. But getting Jack Eichel this late in the game, nah, you just have to take a steal like that. So we're 2 forwards away from completing our team. Jack Hughes, I'm moving you down to the 3rd line. I want to keep a sniper on the 3rd line, Kyle Connor. And Matthew Tkachuk, he's looked really good on the 2nd line, so we're just going to keep him there. Last season, we definitely saw a scare. The Brooklyn Bots making it all the way to the Stanley Cup Final, but Winnipeg's going to step up when it matters. The Astros can't be messing around anymore. We need to win this season. Now, boys, what happened? Why is Jack Eichel holding us back this much? The Brooklyn Bots are now ahead of us. We're 2nd in the entire league. They're 1st. They won 4 more games than us. What is going on? What is going on with our elite team? We won 60 plus games last season, and now we're collapsing. This just can't happen. Y'all better wake up when the postseason comes around. Connor Hellebuyck, I need you to play like Connor Hellebuyck. I need you to play like 94 overall Connor Hellebuyck. No more laying me down. No more folding. You need to win right now. We have the Anaheim Ducks in the 1st round. If we're going to take on the Winnipeg Jets, it's not going to be till the conference finals, so we don't have to worry about them for a while. But let's not focus on the conference finals right now. We have to focus on our 1st round matchup against the Anaheim Ducks, where we're dropping game number 1. Luckily, we're going to win 3 straight games after that. We close out in a 5-game series. It looks like it. Meanwhile, what are the Bots up to? They have a 3-2 series lead, so they're likely going to take down the Detroit Red Wings, and that's exactly what they're doing. So both teams are going to be advancing to the 2nd round. We're going to be taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Meanwhile, the Bots, they're going to be taking on the Islanders. They definitely have an easier matchup than us because we have to go against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and so far they're putting up a pretty good fight. We've split the series with the Oilers. We need to win game number 5, and unfortunately we're going to be dropping that one, so we're moving on to game 6 elimination. But you know what? I know we have enough talent here to win this game, and we're going against Stuart Skinner at the end of the day. We're going to score goals on Stuart Skinner, and we're scoring a lot of goals, 6 goals to be exact, and we're moving on to game 7. So we have game 7 coming up, the most important game. If we win this one, we're moving on to the conference finals, where we don't have to worry about the Winnipeg Jets because Winnipeg's already been eliminated. They fell in the 1st round, so we don't have to worry about them. We have ourselves a 1-goal lead entering the 3rd period. I just need elite defense, and it looks like we're getting that. Not only are we getting elite defense, but we're also getting some elite offense. We're winning this game, and we're moving on to the conference finals. Now, when it comes to the Brooklyn Bots, what are they up to? Well, it looks like they're heading into game 7. They had a 3-1 series lead, but they have choked that away, so game 7's coming up for the Bots. Kaprizov's picking up the 1st goal. Jonathan Drouin and Austin Matthews are exchanging goals in the 2nd. The Islanders still could make this comeback, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. The Bots are taking them down. So it looks like both teams have made it to the conference finals. I'm fully expecting them to match up in the Stanley Cup final. So both teams have advanced to the conference finals. The Astros are taking on the Colorado Avalanche. The Bots are taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. We definitely have a tougher matchup once again, but we have to get past the Avalanche. And you know what? We're flying. We're sweeping the Colorado Avalanche. Meanwhile, the Bots, they lost the first 2 games and then won the next 2 after that. So game number 5 was an important game, which they're going to win. Now they have to win game number 6. And if they win game 6, we face off, and that's what we have. A great Stanley Cup final between 2 great teams. The Astros taking on the Bots. It all comes down to this matchup right here. I need some of the greatest hockey we have seen from the Astros yet. I need them to take down the Bots. And so far, it's been a tough series. We won 2 games, and they won 2 games. So game number 5 is going to be the most important game. Can we steal this one away? We're taking it in overtime. So we have game 6. Game 6 to close it out. We can finish it off right here. We can take down Google Gemini and the Brooklyn Bots, but we need to win this one right here. Brad Marchand's going to be picking up the 1st goal of the game. Moving into the 2nd, second. They're going to be picking up back-to-back goals, but then we're picking up 3 unanswered. So can we win the third period? If we win the third period, we win this game, but it's not going to be that easy. We're going to be scoring a late goal to send us to overtime. Now, we've been able to win quite a few games in overtime. Now it's time for us to win one more. We have a bunch of elite talent. Who's going to score that winner? Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid scoring for the Bots, and we're off to game 7. It only makes sense. So it's the greatest game of all time. Game 7, the Brooklyn Bots and the Pacific Astros. It all comes down to this final game. Game 7. Can I beat artificial intelligence? Can I build a better team than them? Well, it looks like they're going to be picking up 2 goals compared to R1, and I can't believe it's Elias Lindholm. I refuse to lose to Elias Lindholm, so Barkov's going to step up. He's going to pick up a goal in the second period. It's all coming down to the third. The third period will decide this, and when it matters most, we're showing up. 3 unanswered, including a goal from one of our 0 overalls. When our backs were against the wall, and when the lights were the brightest, the Brooklyn Bots just couldn't step up. We're taking them down 5-2. We're Stanley Cup champions, and we beat them in this race. We won a Stanley Cup before the Brooklyn Bots did. No, it's really a glorious day, taking down artificial intelligence like that. Nathan MacKinnon, 13 goals, 19 assists for 32 points. Leon Draisaitl, 28. Sidney Crosby, 27. All of the big-time players we needed, they all stepped up, including Jack Eichel, who's picking up 18 points. And then when it comes to goaltending, you low-key let me down, Halbuck. I'm not going to lie to you. 16 wins, 2 shots, a 909, and a 303. Like, I needed you to be better than that, and you just weren't good enough for me. We ended up getting lucky because of our elite offense. Like, look at Vasilevsky, a 914 and a 276. We didn't deserve to win that Stanley Cup based on our goaltending, but because of our offense, we were able to come out on top. And just like that, Team Stick on the ice is taking down Google Gemini and artificial intelligence. They just don't know puck like that. Plain and simple.